Hi everyone, welcome to my presentation. We will be starting soon. Hi, welcome to my presentation today. Today we are talking about how to analyze UI designs based on UX Research Session 5. So look into that. This is Session 5, Process of Analysis. So last 4 sessions we discussed a lot on this topic. Today we are talking about process of analysis. So as we discussed last week, analysis of UX research is contextual learning. How to do that? So when I brief the entire journey we have in research, in UX research, we can start with search for people, then discussion, then analysis. These are the basic steps in UX research. But we went through in section 1, organizing and interviewing, the environment for interviewing, interviewing channels, number of interviews needed, selecting and scheduling participants, duration of interviews, interview guidelines, interviewing. Then in session 2, we discussed a case study, music lovers. Then in session 3, we discussed about data management, the language and translation process, note taking and transcription, audio video recording and streaming, legal formalities, and white labeling. Session 4, in last week, we discussed about strategies for analysis. That's information flow, strategies or managing data loss, learning funnel, and how to analyze. These are the strategies we discussed last week. And today we are discussing on process of analysis. That's a regrouping of deck and analysis methods. I welcome everyone. So whatever we discussed in our presentations is connected to innovation journeys. So innovation journey, as we discussed every week, is a empathizing idea, then sketching concept, then designing look and feel, rapid prototyping, evaluating MVP, and feedback. These are the steps for innovation journey. So whatever we are discussing is connected to that. So mainly this UX is connected to look and feel and prototyping. But the depth interviews is a best tool for ideation and concept. Also, you can refer our newsletter for more details on UX. Coming back, I'm passing through a quick journey or uh, quick view of what we discussed last week. That is information desk, global project in multi-location. When we conduct global projects in multi-location, how the information desk will be, that will be filtered information as we discussed last week. And their basic information, the first level information, that is segmentation, profiles, video of original audio, and materials collected, will be filtered to the next level, that is notes and interviewer briefing, video of video and audio transcribed, and video translated, audio transcribed. You need more information about these steps, please refer our last week's presentation. But I'm just explaining here to recollect. Then after that, the analyst analyze the data, then coming to UI designer. So the information from the participant is passing through these deck, and then analysis, then come to UI designer. Then we discuss about learning funnel. What should be the learning funnel for the analyst? So there are different steps: the remembering, understanding, applying in a context, analyzing the outcome, evaluating the outcome, creating. These are the learning funnels and different designs. 2 weeks back we discussed about how the discussion guidelines to be prepared. So A, B, C, there are 3 ideas, then combined ideas, and other ideas. So every idea in every funnel, we have to collect quick responses, stories, positive thoughts, negative thoughts, ideas, and walkthroughs from participant. It's already collected by the moderator, then the analyst should learn. That's why it's called learning funnel. Then grouping of this information based on segmentation and persona. This already we discussed last week. So it's a quick look into these strategies. Then persona is an important thing. We have to finalize persona with the design of the project. Then based on this persona, then again we can divide the persona according to different segments, and analysis will be done based on taking the different ideas we already tested, then persona wise, then context wise, and segment. All these steps, like detailed explanation of all these steps, are there in session 1, section 2, section 3, and session 4. Please refer that. If you're new to my presentation, little bit difficult to understand this, because I'm not explaining everything again and again, because in the 4 sections we already completed. That means 4 hours we talk on this topic already. So this is the 5th session. So please refer my previous videos. I already shared the links of my previous videos. It's a detailed steps explained. Then the analysis, persona wise, context wise, and segment wise. So these are the points we discussed last week. Now we come to process of analysis. How to analyze these data? Important thing is you should not analyze based on notes, or based on the concluded data, or based on quantified data. So we already discussed what are the problems of that. So we are analyzing the deck. So persona, I already said that, select a persona, then select an idea. You have idea A, idea B, idea C, and combined. The T is representing combined idea. Then any other idea coming in front of you during the discussions or suggested by the respondent, etc. So these are the 5 main categories of ideas you have in front of you. Persona depends on the product design and the market. So I can't say anything. Maybe most of the markets will be having 3 to 6 personas. Then context matching already done in stage 4. That is the context of the respondent and context what we designed. So then we can finalize context 1, context 2, context 3, context 4, like that. You have to list down all the contexts we have to analyze. Then segments, mainly 5 segments. That is geographic, demographic, psychographic, behavioral, and usage. These are the 5 segments. So the entire information deck is grouped like this: P01, the persona, then idea, then context, then segment. That is P01, idea 1, then context 1, then segment 1. This way you can group the information: persona 2, idea 1, context 1, like that. This is the way of grouping the deck. I know that still you may be confused what I'm saying, so that way I'm giving clarity to how to group it. So look into the transcripts or notes linked with video. So what are the things you have in front of you? The original video, transcription, notes and debriefing is combined because it's almost same. Then transcript, translated transcript, then original video. So look into the transcript first. So transcript is a main information. Notes or debriefing is just a summary. So don't look only to summary. Look into all entire text. That is transcribed data and videos. So take one part. When you go through the transcribed data, you feel that this session is important, then mark this session. What are the important metadata or the information we have to mark about that session? That part of the discussion is you have to number it. That is R1001. That's a respondent number and information number. You have to number it. Then, in what stage of learning funnel it is? We already discussed about learning funnel. So in what stage of learning funnel of the respondent this data is? So he's in understanding level, or he's in applying a context, or what's the level? So learning funnel level. You have to mark it. Then persona. What's the persona of the respondent? So we already matched the persona as we discussed in last week. So the persona is a 0, 1. Then what's the idea he's talking about? Is the idea A, B, or C? What's the idea he's talking about? Then context. You already have the list of context. So the code number of the context the person is talking about. Then segment. You have the segments. What's the segment? Then what's the start time in video and end time in video? So this is the detailed information about this part of transcript. So you feel that from this point to this point, this information is very valid for your analysis, then highlight it and mark it like this. This gives a very detailed information. So when you look into this information and this table, you can see that which learning funnel, what's the persona, what's the idea is talking about, what's the context, segment, start time, end time of the video. So you can mark it as 0, 1, 1A, C1. Okay. So I think this is now very clear to you how to regroup a desk, how to regroup information tech. Okay. Then like that you have to do the entire transcript. This is a little bit a tedious job, I know that. Think about, we are talking about 10 interviews in a city and 100 cities, that is 1000 interviews. 1000 interviews globally. You have 1000 transcript in front of you, grouped with personas, grouped with segments, grouped with ideas. So you have to go through all these transcripts. I'm not saying that you can do individually. So your analysis team can go through it and do it. Don't depend on moderators. Don't depend on any others. You do the analysis. The team for analysis, dedicated team for analysis, maybe a client team or a agency team, have to go through this. That's a must. Otherwise, whatever you have done in 1000 interviews, it will be a waste. Why should we conduct 1000 interviews, spending a lot of money, time, and effort? Then we are not analyzing it properly. As we discussed, that's a biggest fault in qualitative interviews or UX research. Nobody will analyze it properly. There are a lot of information is coming. Even very small part of the information is not analyzed. They will just look into moderator briefing. The interviewer will debrief what happened in that interview, then continue with analysis. Then what's a huge effort is put in by developing the guidelines, doing the interviews, and everything going to a waste. So you have to do it very detailed. So every part of the transcript you have to mark like this. So you'll get a lot of information. So take one transcript and mark like this. Then save to a spreadsheet or in a doc file or in a database. That's a way you can regroup the information. Then next step is analysis. So as we discussed earlier, what are the important things for analysis? One of the beautiful model for analysis is 6 thinking hats. So based on 6 thinking hats, I'm proposing this model. I always recommend this model because the best model for any qualitative research. It's a quick response. What is quick response? The response within 5 seconds. I discussed in previous discussions. Quick response. So this response within 5 seconds. That is without proper thinking. His mind is reacting. That is called quick response. It should collect within 5 seconds. Quick response. Then the stories from the respondent. Respondent will talk about experience and stories. Then the respondents' positive thoughts, negative thoughts, then their ideas. They will suggest a lot of ideas, and the process walkthroughs. These are the 6 important things we had to select. We had to collect from this information. We already grouped this information based on this. Then we grouped based on persona. Then we are regrouping the deck for analysis. The first step, we are grouping all this information for matching the persona and segments. Now we are regrouping the deck for analysis. Okay, so What is happening here? So I already said that you have this data, then quick responses. Quick response is always data. You say that, okay, are you like it? Yes, no. No, I didn't like it. I like it. So this is a response, quick response. So that is always connected to data. So quick response, you take it as data. Then you can count the data. Okay, how many likes, how many dislikes, that way you can count. Then goes to positive thoughts. What are positive thoughts? The respondent gives positive thoughts on that idea. On this information, I'm talking about this information already categorized. Only the analysis method on one information. Then positive thoughts. Write the positive thoughts in your words. So you write a positive thought from by reading this information. Write the positive thoughts, and after that you have to code to variables. So the positive thoughts to be coded with, okay, this is a good design, so you can classify as good. That is for coding. Another say that this is a bad design, so you can classify as bad. So like that is a coding. That's a negative thoughts. Also write the negative thoughts and code the variables. Okay, this is the way to start with. Then stories that to map the story themes. You can go through how to analyze stories. We have a detailed exclusive presentation how to analyze stories, so you can go through it. And mapping of stories means what type of story it is. Is it a Cinderella? Is it a rags to riches? Another story is a tragedy. Oh, man in a hole. These are the different categorization based on the content of the story or the outcome of the story. So it's a story is a tragedy, so nothing won't work. Man in a hole is a confusion. Cinderella is coming out from a bad things to a good fortune. Rags to riches means always in a positive level, in a harmony level. So that is so based on these factors, outcome of the stories, you have to categorize the stories and story mapping. Then you have to find the role players in the stories. What are role players? I will be having a detailed discussion on this later. But what are the role players? Different role players of the story. I to mark the role players. Influencers, gatekeepers, initiators, users, buyers. Like that, you have different role players in a story. Okay, definition of each we will be explaining later. So the influence is always influencing, and decider is deciding, and user is using, buyer is paying. Okay, there are 6 role plays. So in the stories, you have to identify the role of the respondent and the role of other people playing in that story. Maybe the person's kid is what the kid is playing, or maybe the parent is playing, or maybe the spouse is playing, like that. So role players you have to identify. Then another part is walkthrough. Walkthrough is a process. So how to categorize this process? I always look into these 3 methods. There's a parallel path. That is, you have a process, but the user have a different process. But it's parallel. It's reaching the same results. That's called parallel paths. Discovery. Another path, you know, it's a new path the user is recommending, entirely new path. Parallel path is you know that path, but discovery is entirely new path. So you got a new thing from the respondent. That's called discovery. Then irrational path, they will do something away from. Okay, if some the problem is instead of solving the problem, he'll restart the phone. That's called irrational paths. So that's also possible. So these are the process methods. So while you go through the process of the respondent who is explaining the process or who is demonstrating the process, you have to identify that this process belongs to parallel path or discoveries or traditional, irrational paths. I'm concluded these steps from the 5 force analysis in the management. That's a very popular model called 5 force analysis. I concluded these 3 from that. Another thing is clients and suppliers. So respondent itself is a client, so we need not look into that. So we already have the personas and segmentation of the person. So actually 5 force method, based on 5 force method, I am trying to analyze walkthroughs. Then ideas suggested by participant. You have to do the SWOT analysis. That's another management principle. SWOT analysis on ideas, then ranking. Here in walkthroughs, you can do confusion metrics because there is a conflict between your process and their process. There will be confusion happens. You can apply confusion metrics. Maybe the management people have some idea about what is confusion metrics. Then, okay, in ideation, you have to do the ranking of ideas. When they suggest a lot of ideas, you have to rank it. So this is the way you have to approach these 6 thinking hats. Okay, I'm merging these thinking hats with the management and psychological principles, psychological models. Then you have to group this individual information based on your requirement. That maybe you are grouping based on your idea. That is what all the respondents talking about: idea A, idea B, idea C, or it's context 1, context 2, context 3. Like that, you have to group. So different ways you can group. So that's the same categories are used here. That is segments, context, idea, persona. So in that way you can group. So this information, individual information, what you analyze from that small one information based on 6 thinking hat is grouped here. Okay, so different ways you can group according to your analysis. Then after grouping, again you have to analyze to that group, because you merge data or you club data based on, for example, A. So you have to analyze based on that grouping. So that grouping you can do. We already done that grouping. Then take the quick responses. So how to analyze the quick responses of that group? The analysis method is quantitative analysis using statistics, because it's a data. We already said that individual information is grouped. That grouped information you can analyze. So that group is quantitative analysis using statistics. That is the method. Then again, you can apply descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. This is the way you have to analyze. That is, when you have a data, you can apply descriptive statistics, then test for normality. Then if normality is satisfied, then go for inferential statistics. It is of the regression models and patterns. Okay, I'm not going deep into that, so we will be having the next session for that. Okay, then positive thoughts. How to analyze these positive thoughts? In a grouped information, you can do SWOT analysis of the positive thoughts. Then you can develop SWOT metrics, then rank it. Negative thoughts, same way, the SWOT analysis, SWOT metrics, then ranking. Then stories. How to analyze stories? Because you group the stories according to the segment. Then analysis based on story theme mapping. That's already I explained. What are the story themes? Then role play analysis. You already analyze the role players. Then based on role players, you can analyze. Then perspectives. There are different perspectives in the stories. That is psychological perspectives, philosophical perspectives, emotional or social perspectives. So different perspectives are different. Depending on the perspectives also you can analyze. Then walkthroughs. I already said that the parallel path, discoveryness, and irrational path. That can be analyzed using confusion metrics and paradox text. Paradox test you can do, that is paradox means if there are giving two outcomes, that's the same equal outcomes but two different processes. The output of the outcome is same but the process is different, then you can do the paradox test. Then prepare the challenge map. So there may be a lot of confusion between you and your respondent data, what you designed and what respondent is suggesting or what is coming from the market. You can prepare the challenge map. What are the challenges in front of us? So you say that that's a good one, respondent say that that's a bad one, then that becomes a challenge. So you have to develop a challenge map. Then ideas, how to analyze it. I already said that it's a SWOT analysis. Then perceptual mapping, that's a good method for idea analysis. After SWOT analysis, you can go for perceptual mapping. Then portfolio maps. These are the analysis methods for these 6 category of information based on grouping. After grouping, you go look into these six baskets of information. What are the baskets? Quick responses, positive thoughts, negative thoughts, stories, walkthroughs, and ideas. Then how to analyze. So these are the analysis method. I will be taking all these analysis method in next session one by one to show how to analyze it. Otherwise, if I continue with that, it will go to another 1 hour. So it's better go for next session for each take. That means how to develop perceptual mapping, how to do role player analysis, how to do prepare the challenge map, etc. I will explain on next session. So this is the method for analyzing the data. So first you have the individual information, then grouped information coming to these 6 baskets, and these baskets data is analyzed for findings and suggestions. So that is all for today. Then what are the takeaways? The takeaways are regrouping of deck, what we discuss. The deck we already have, that should be regrouped according to our requirement of analysis or the design of the analysis. Then analysis of one information using quick responses, positive thoughts, negative thoughts, stories, walkthroughs, and ideas. One information get analyzed. Then grouping of analyzed information, then detailed analysis. These are the takeaways. Then questions. I hope you have get a next step after strategies, because we discussed a lot of strategies last week. Then how to implement the strategies. I'm just discussing a strategy is not the right method. We had to implement the strategy. So this is the first step of implementing the strategies, that starting the analysis, doing the analysis. I'm not showing any data here because every project is different, so it will be confusing to you. But actually you need methods, because you are a researcher or you are a designer, you know what data is going to come, then how to analyze. So the analysis is started, and next session I will showing how to use these tools for analysis. Then findings and suggestions, how to present the findings and suggestions, that is coming in. So this is for today. If you have questions, you can ask the questions in the comment box, or you can directly ask to me. I will answer all the questions today or later. Of course, you can look into our newsletter for latest trend in UX. At the same time, you are free to share this presentation to your team, and you can do comments. Waiting for questions. Thank you for your time. See you on next week.